corridors of sleep, lie shadows darkening. My mind doesn't live in confusion. I do I can touch what I feel, and I hide behind the shield of my illusion. So I continue to pretend that my life will never end, and flowers never bend with the rainfall. The mirror on my wall casts an image dark and small. I'm not sure at all it's my reflection. I'm blinded by the light of God and truth and right, and I wander in the night without direction. So I continue to pretend that my life will never end, and flowers never bend with the rainfall. No matter if you are born to play the king or pawn, the line is simply drawn to enjoy sorrow. So my fantasy becomes reality, and I must be what I must be and face tomorrow. So I continue to pretend that my life will never end, and flowers never bend with the rainfall. Thank you. As it was said at the introduction, last year, July, we addressed the United Nations at their headquarters, not in Geneva, but in New York. As you know, the only property in the US that does not belong to US is the UN premises, because it is governed by the Geneva Convention. So the moment you enter the UN premises in New York, the US law does not apply. But for that very reason, the law was very stringent. The security was very stringent. And it was a 4-day program, and my speech was scheduled for the 3rd day. And having come to know on the first day that security was stringent, I sought permission to take my guitar to the UN chamber because I wanted to start with a song. In fact, the same song by Paul Simon and Garfunkel. And the security declined. They said, no, you cannot take a musical instrument to the main chamber of the UN. And myself being an attorney at law, I knew that if I make my request in writing, and if they decide to decline, they have to do it in writing. So the second day, I took a letter requesting permission to take the guitar to the main chamber. But still, no one wanted to act because there was no precedence. What happens when there is no precedence? People do not want to act. So there is no ceiling where they can hide themselves. There is no in taking decisions unless there are precedences for most people. Most people are reluctant to be original. So therefore, even for the written request on the second day, I did not receive an immediate answer. The morning where my speech, the day that my speech was scheduled, I received a call in my room, hotel room, and they said, you have been permitted, you have been cleared to take the guitar to the UN chamber. And I took the guitar to the UN chamber. And the sessions were from about 10 o'clock in the morning till about 3. And on the first 2 days, I saw that not many people are interested on the speeches that were going on at the podium. They were just, sometimes wearing their headphones and pretending to listen. They were engrossed in their digital devices underneath the table. By, deploying this ploy of starting with a song that I could get the attention of the house, which was right. Because when I started with the song, I had the attention of the full house. And when Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel originally sang this song, they did it at the Central Park in New York. when they performed it live. And when they did that, there was a crowd of 758,000 people to watch them perform. And that is the highest number of people that have attended a live concert to date. So therefore, there was relevance in that sense as well, because when you climb a few stairs up at the UN headquarters in New York, you can see the Central Park afar. So therefore, there was some nexus as well. But that is not the point. Once I had done with my speech, I wanted to know, I was inquisitive to know as to how permission has been granted. And then they showed me the letter which I submitted in writing. It was endorsed by no lesser person than the previous Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon himself. He had written on the letter, I shall never ever allow a musical instrument in the main chamber of the UN. But if a speaker uses a musical instrument to enhance the expressions of his speech as a utensil, then I shall allow, and therefore I allow. And he has granted permission in that manner. So first thing that I want to inculcate in your mind, because our theme is aspire. Now, had I taken that no for an answer from the secretary on the first day, I wouldn't have been able to start my speech with a song. Why did I persist? What is the attribute in me that pushed me not to take that no for an answer? And that is called passion. So the passion that you have in what you do will differentiate the end result. Most of us are motivated, especially when it comes to employment or a career path. Most of us are motivated by what we get at the end of the month, our remuneration packages. And unless you are passionate, you're not just motivated, you're passionate about what you do, all those remuneration packages will come after you. Unless, of course, motive is to get something at the end of the month, you will just serve your life mediocre and then exit this world. But if you want to excel in whatever field that you choose, you've got to dedicated passion. You have to be passionate about it. So that is the first thing that I want to inculcate in your minds. And the second thing, now, when I'm invited to a forum to deliver a speech, actually, I pick up a guitar and begin to sing. If you try to close your eyes for a while and put yourself in my shoes and visualize that you are invited to a forum such as this, and you are supposed to speak, and you pick up a guitar and begin to sing, what are the feelings that you may come across? I know these feelings. The fear of being misfit to the occasion, the fear of being ridiculed, fear of being, not accepted. I'm supposed to make a speech. Is it all right if I sing? And all these things cross your mind, all these negative things. And let me tell you, most of us do not get into the next level of life for the same fears, for the same reasons. 50 years ago, there was a medical opinion that if a man ran a mile under 4 minutes, that he wouldn't be in the land of living. Medical reasoning was that the human lungs did not have the capacity to provide the necessary oxygen for a man to perform such act. So there was this crazy guy who ran a mile under 4 minutes, but he was very much in the land of living. He did not die as the doctors predicted. But that is not the point. Once he had within the next 8 others who ran a mile under 4 minutes, in under 4 minutes. So which means most of the barriers that we face in life are psychological, are mind created. Or else we have reached somewhere and be there. But there are special people who has the gut and the nerve and to defy convention, who do not want to take the path that someone else has created, but who want themselves. And they are the people who become pioneers in their respective fields by expanding the horizons of the respective fields they may belong to, be it business, politics, education, sports, or whatever field that may come to your mind. It's always better to be a pioneer in the respective field that you belong to. And in order to be a pioneer, you've got to be passionate about what you do. But it's not easy taking a different path from the crowd. As Mahatma Gandhi said, when you try to be different, people will laugh at you. They will ridicule you. If possible, they will try to fight with you. But then you will win, and that is the path. To take the event high jump, today the technique to clear the high jump bar, level bar of the high jump horizontal is head first technique. But in the 70s, it was leg first. One Mr. Fosbury from USA that is being used today, the head first technique, in the 70s, he was disqualified, calling it a dangerous technique. But today, not only the world accepted technique is the head first technique, but Mr. Fosbury. So this is what happens at the beginning when you try to take a different path. I'm into manufacturing. I manufacture the impact sensor for the automobile airbag. And the weakness of is its quality requirement, which is called 1 ppm quality. 1 part per million is the defect tolerance rate. And that is the highest level of quality anywhere in the world. And when I embarked on this, I was told by many, with the existing work ethic, that I would not succeed with the typical Sri Lankan mentality, that I wouldn't be able to succeed in achieving this highest level of quality in the world. But looking at all the great monuments built by our ancestors almost 2000 years ago, and the planet taken, I thought that this DNA must be somewhere in our people. I believed that provided the right leadership, I would be able to rekindle this DNA. I have been right. Last turnover of 80 million US dollars. We started with 27 people 15 years ago. Now we have grown up to 1,000 people with 3 factories local and 1 factory in Mexico. How did all this happen? Once again, coming back to the product that I said, it is the sensor, the impact sensor, which would recognize the impact if there is an impact and give the airbag the signal to pop out. So it is a device that will differentiate between life and death of a human being. So that is why that happens. Because if you have a problem with your CD player in your vehicle or some other device, you will have the occasion to get it rectified, get it repaired. But if for the impact, the airbag does not come out, the occasion to get it rectified. So that is why that stringent quality is in place. I studied at St. Anthony's College, Kandy. Muthaya Murugaran is 4 years junior to me. And soon after my O-levels, I received a scholarship to go to Japan. If I say that I received a scholarship to go to Japan, that is incorrect. There were 5 countries from which USA, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. I selected Japan for 2 reasons. During that time, soon after my O-levels and being just 16 years, I was very fond of martial arts, karate, kung fu, that kind of thing. So I thought by going to Japan, interest in martial arts. Secondly, I thought by going to USA, UK, Australia, or New Zealand, of course I can brush up my English. But I thought by going to Japan, I would pick up another language. For these 2 reasons, I went to Japan on a cultural exchange program awarded by an organization called American Field Service, AFS. I had to spend 1 year in Japan. So it was part of the scholarship that they took me to visit all the big conglomerates in Japan. Mitsubishi, Matsushita Denki, which is known as National Panasonic in this part of the world. This idea was conceived in my mind in one of my visits to Toyota. I had many plants. The plant that I visited was one of the plants that was in Aichi Prefecture. The person who was explaining the process to me was a silent car because at that time the production line ran into a few kilometers and he was explaining the process to me. As I entered the factory, I hardly saw many people. Of course, there were people standing here and there. But for a factory of that magnitude in my own country, by that time I would have seen about 3,000 to 4,000 people. Out of inquisitiveness, I wanted to know holiday at Toyota. we have automated most of our systems. Having said that, we proceeded further. I could see through a glass, 1/4 of this size of this hall, about 400 people crammed in doing something swiftly. So my question was, just that everything is being automated. So what are these people doing here? And he said, a safety device for luxury vehicles, and this is a process. Then I wanted to know as to the takeaway salary. When I converted it into Sri Lankan rupees, it was around 150,000 to 200,000 rupees. Abundance of labor in my own country, I did not have to do any feasibility study to understand doing this labor-intensive product in Sri Lanka would definitely be feasible. So I told him, if this is a labor-intensive product, why not start this kind of product in a country where it is abandoned? Then the reply that he gave me, he said that a vehicle comes into being by about 17,000 components coming together if it's a standard vehicle. Twice as that. 1,000 components come together and make a vehicle. We do outsource for other countries certain components of these vehicles. But there is a list or the critical component list, and impart to any other country component from this critical component list. Because the function of these components are so bonded with our brand name, therefore we never ever outsource to other countries. And what they are doing is a critical component. So a business idea was conceived and a complete negative answer was received. But I persisted. At the end of the tour, I requested for a few samples as to what they were doing. I do not think that Toyota would oblige people with samples who visit their factories, but there were two special reasons. One was that it was the structure of the scholarship. I was an invitee of the Japanese government. Secondly, I was just 16, a schoolboy, on a study tour. Maybe for these two reasons, this gentleman obliged me with 3 samples. And after completing my 1 year in Japan, now I come back to Sri Lanka with those 3 samples in my bag. And then I sit my advanced level. The subjects that I offered were singular, political science, and during my time, when you sit your advanced level, it takes about 6 months to get your results. You sit your exams in August and you get your results somewhere January or February next year. So not wanting to be a vagabond, I once again traveled back to Japan. This time not on a scholarship, but on my own. During my 1 year stay in Japan, there was a speech contest, the Japanese speech contest for the foreigners living in Japan. It is actually conducted annually by NHK Radio. Although the word radio is there, that's international television. So yes, yet to drop that word. So NHK Radio organizes every year the Japanese speech contest for the foreigners living in Japan. And during my year, there were 42 countries that participated, and I managed to secure the first place. And when I achieved this feat, many companies in Japan offered me employment. And I resurrected one of them with NHK Radio, and I English vice versa translated. That was during the daytime. And in the evenings, I was a lobby artist at a hotel, 5-star hotel called Hotel New Otani in Tokyo. It's a very easy thing. I was actually contracted to play Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel on my guitar. The stool, high stool kept in the lobby. I had to be seated up in that stool and strum my guitar and sing Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel. Very easy thing, because when you play the guitar, no one would ever listen to you. They will just give you a glance as they pass by. So these are the 2 engagements I had in Japan. All from my father. The mode of communication, language of communication in my family was of course sinhala. Putte, usas pela pratipalanikut vela, puta vibhage failure. And during my time, your future, we did not have most of the options that you young people today are having. There was no Saitam at that time. So now I came back to Sri Lanka with a heavy heart. My advanced level for a second time. And before, now I had an F failure was single. I'm ashamed to say this. But applying for time, I just had a deep deliberation as to what really went wrong. And I felt that I did not study. So I was thinking, even if I push harder and even if I give my best shot, this F might convert into a S or a maximum C, which is not going to do much good to the overall result. I was thinking whether I could change the subject. I was wondering whether I could for Japanese as a subject for my advanced level. Because now back in Japan after 1 year, I sat in with the Japanese students in Japanese language. So now I was wondering whether I could see this as a subject. Answer was yes. And my school directed me to the Japanese embassy, which is ruled even today. And they helped me with the past papers. When I went through the past papers, I was amazed and surprised to see that the advanced level paper that they present here, the Japanese advanced level paper that they present here, was the grade 1 paper back in Japan. So I had no difficulty in deciding that Sinhala is going to be replaced with Japanese. I remember on the day that I sat the Japanese language paper, in the examination hall that I sat the exam in Kandy, there was only myself and 2 lady supervisors. Of course, elsewhere in the country, there might have been other candidates. Exam in Kandy, that particular examination hall, it was only I. And I remember the 3-hour paper, I managed to finish within 40 minutes. It was so elementary. I couldn't be bothered to be seated for 3 hours. So I got up with my answer script and walked up to one of the lady supervisors and handed it to her. I still remember what she told me. She told me, "Okay, tamai lame vegade karane pa kya." So now, but when the results were out, I had A for Japanese, and I had 261 marks, which was sufficient during my time to secure a seat in the university system of this country. A letter from the UGC saying that I have secured a seat in the university system. Although I received a letter during that time, were closed. Even the Open University was not open. So the only institute academic was Sri Lanka Law College. So I went to Law College to get an application to sit the law entrance exam. When I went to the counter, the person at the counter wanted to know the subjects that I have offered for my advanced level. The moment I said Japanese, now I said, now Japanese is no Natum, no Sangeeta. And the other 3 subjects like logic, political science, and economics has some nexus to law. He said, I'm not the deciding authority, you will have to write to the Council of Legal Education, which I did. And they came with special permission, the law entrance exam, and I managed to secure the 6th place when the results were out, and I managed to get into the law college, and that is how I became an attorney at law by an accident. So now, samples that I brought from Japan, I am from a village called Oruthota in Gampaha, and they were lying at my Oruthota home. And one fine day after my lectures, I dismantled one of the samples that I had brought to Sri Lanka. And I wrote on a piece of paper as to what it is made of. It had connectors, terminals, wires, so on. So every small component had a serial number where I could see through a magnifying glass. And I had some friends who were working for Air Lanka at that time, Sri Lankan Air today, procured from Singapore. And I replicated the two samples that I did not dismantle. More respect. But when you have vision, you could see. When you can see, you can observe. This, and I replicated what I could see from Singapore samples, and then dispatched it to the person who took me around Toyota, explaining the business card. Of course, there was no reply. Then this effort of sending samples, within the span of 12 months, I sent samples at least on 6 occasions to the same person without any acknowledgement. I was inquisitive to know as to what was happening to this person. He said, I told you on the very first day, this is a critical component. We will never ever impart to any other country. The effort is a futile effort. Don't ever try it. Don't pursue this. So when you hear this kind of thing, you get discouraged. If I say that I was further encouraged, not true. So, but for a reason, not have a logical explanation, even after receiving that answer. After a few months, I started sending samples again to the same person. I continued for about 1.5 years. Once again, when I was again interested to know as to what was happening, I contacted him again. That's about 2.5 years in total. By that time, he has reached the middle management at Toyota, but he was generous enough to come and answer the phone. When he recognized it was me, he said, "You are the craziest guy I have ever come across in my life." Then I said, "Can I kindly know as to what is happening to the samples that I sent you? If you really want to know, let me tell you that when we see the sender's address as yours, we don't even bother to open the pack. We just throw it." Ask them that. At the same time, he said, "Perhaps you do not know how big Toyota is. The turnover of Toyota during that year was equal to the GDP of about 60 countries put together. A company of the magnitude of Toyota, we're talking business to a virtual non-entity like you from a hardly heard country." But at the same time, he said, "Remember, Toyota is an assembly plant and not a manufacturing plant, not a manufacturing company. Although you saw certain limited amount of manufacturing taking place in our facility to resolve our lead time problems, even the component that you are referring to are supplied to Toyota by licensed suppliers within Japan. If at all, you should be talking to them and not Toyota direct." I kept my cool. At the end of the conversation, I requested a few contacts of the people who were supplying this component under license to Toyota. Once again, he was kind enough, generous enough. By that time, I had purchased a small fax machine to fax me 10 names of 10 companies that were supplying this impact sensor to Toyota under license. I wasted no time, procured material once again from Singapore, made 10 samples each to all 10 companies, and dispatched. Once again, no reply. And then this process also continued for some time. During my final year at law college, when I returned home, there was a long fax. I call it a long fax because it was not the plain paper fax that you use today, it was the fax roll. And the red tape line indicated that it has consumed almost the entirety of my fax roll. When I cut it into pages, it was a 32-page document, which said, one of the companies had replied, finally. It said, "We acknowledge receiving the 10 samples that you happen to send us. 2 can be accepted, 8 are defects, following is a defect analysis report." I was overwhelmed. I lost no time. From the material that I had, I made 10 more samples and dispatched to the company that replied. This time the reply was swift. Once again, I received a fax saying, "We acknowledge receiving the 10 samples that you happen to send us. 8 can be accepted, 2 are defects, following is a defect analysis." It was a comprehensive report with the lab reports and solder temperature, solder height being measured, in all details. There was a lull period after that for about 3 months, and they contacted me, this particular company. They wanted to know if they send material from Japan, whether I could do 100 components. I jumped at it. And then this 100 continued every bi-weekly. They send the material from Japan, I do the validation here, and we ship it to the same company. And this 100 became 1,000, and 1,000 became 10,000 within a very short period. When it was 1,000 components, material were coming in A4 size carton boxes. But when it came to 10,000 components, they were coming in LC, loose cargo, or their palletized loose cargo. But my mother is a trim and proper housekeeper. Now she was getting worried. Because all material were all over the place. And she was asking me, and now it was in the ascending. They say that entrepreneurs are risk takers. But I'm quite the contrary. I always try to pass the risk to someone else. Now, because I knew by that time, having studied industrial law, I knew had I started my own production facility, and tomorrow I lose my order from Japan, and I have to retrench these people, and the law of the country is such they can even go to my ancestral properties and sell them and compensate these people. So I take that risk. So I went to existing companies that had a flair for electronics, and I told them about this product, and everyone wanted to know as to how much I would pay them. The last company that I visited was one SJ Electroman from Homaga. His owner's name is one Mr. Siri Samarakuri. And when I met him, with my previous experience of visiting other companies, my first question to him was, I have a product like this. How much will I have to pay you till it is done in one of your production lines? And Mr. Samarakuri was a thorough gentleman to the letter. And he said, this is a product that you have not succeeded at. You are still at the trial and error stage. I have got certain orders from USA cancer, therefore there is some idling labor and it is product done in one of the production lines. During that time, they have won the Malcolm Wallbridge Award for quality, and also they have been awarded the highest export award, presidential award, through that production line. Now, this 10,000, as much as I thought, it went up to 300,000 components per month, which was bringing in millions to the company. They were getting the American, or they were working with a company called Ferronics, mainly of USA, coin mining parts. But now, although the order was declining, order from the impact flowing in. So he made the director of the company. Now, all these 300,000 components that we manufacture here, whenever I saw these people who inspect being sent to the end users. Whenever I went there, I suggested, why by the salaries that you pay for a month for 200, you can run a factory in Sri Lanka for. So why not come and invest in my country? Now there was a risk in the whole business model. They wanted to stop business with me. They had to take only one step back. That is to stop sending material in the next shipment. Now, when you do business with the Japanese, it is vital that you visit them frequently. Unlike with the Americans or the Europeans, where you can keep in touch with your mobile devices or your factory. With the Japanese, you have to be in their country physically and play golf with them, go in their yachts, do what they like. Because relationship comes first, business comes second. So I became a frequent visit to Japan. So it is when that I saw that these 300,000 components are being inspected there. So now there's another thing that was worrying me. There was a cognitive dissonance where my heart and mind couldn't agree. I was wondering now, as Sri Lankans, are we only good at providing labor? Because labor is a component that the poorest of the poor can offer to the world. Can't we get into other levels of production? Can't we get into hardcore manufacturing? So what I was simply doing was receiving the material from Japan, doing the labor value addition, and reshipping it to Japan. That was the thing that I was doing. So this was worrying my mind. Can't we get into a different stage, different level? Of course we could, but there was an obstacle. I needed 8 million US dollars to start the entire production line here. I did not have 8 million US dollars at that time. Had I had 8 million US dollars at that time, I wouldn't have started it for the rates that the banks paid. So whenever I went to Japan, I was trying to entice, the owner's name was one mistake though. I was trying to entice him to invest in Sri Lanka. But whenever I suggested to him, he said, no, we are very happy with the present business model. He never wanted to invest. And now I became a frequent visitor to Japan. Even now I visit Japan at least 6 times a year. And he stays here for 1 week and he takes a look at the production process at SJ Electronic. Then on the final day that he takes the Narita, the Sri Lankan Air flight to Narita. And on the final day, it's a rather relaxed schedule. He has a visa, Sri Lankan tea, so it's a very light schedule on the final day. It is one of these times that he was in Sri Lanka. On a day that he was to leave Sri Lanka, the Kattanayake airport was attacked by the terrorists. I was getting very nervous because this news would disrupt my business. So Mr. Ito was staying at Galadari. I had my contacts at Galadari. I contacted one of them and gave the room number of Mr. Ito and told him, please disconnect the television of this gentleman's room. Because all the channels, Tirasa, Rupavahini, Swati, every channel was giving a live coverage of the operations that were going on in the airport. So I did not want Mr. Ito to see these visuals. Had he seen them, he would have definitely resolved never to return. So I was trying to keep this news away from him. And lucky for me, there was no curfew in Colombo on that particular day, so that we could get about our normal business. But then again, once again, I was getting nervous because I got to know that all the flights were getting cancelled and rescheduled. But once again, I was lucky. Although all the flights were getting rescheduled and cancelled, the Sri Lankan Air flight to Narita was on schedule under special security because there was a special VVIP that had to report to the Japanese Diet. Japanese Diet is their parliament, right? So they had to report to the Japanese Diet, and therefore, for that reason, the Sri Lankan Air flight to Narita was on schedule. Now, although it was on schedule, not wanting to take a risk, I contacted one of my friends who was at Air Force during that time, Wing Commander Yahampa, Kishan Yahampa. I told him I'm coming with the VVIP in my life, trying to ensure that he does not feel the impact of what's going on. He said, it's one of the most difficult tasks, but I will try. When I approached the gate at the airport, there were stringent security, of course, and there were about 6 personnel to receive me, and they said, are you Mr. Pallewatta? I said, yes. And they opened the boot of the vehicle and they took the baggages of Mr. Ito out of the vehicle, which was not usual. So Mr. Ito was rather, panicked. He said, what's going on? So I said, don't worry, this is how my countrymen treats me now. So then, they did such a great job until Mr. Ito reached Japan. He did not know the airport that was under terrorist attack. Because I was told by Kishan Hampa that the operations were not over because there were still 2 terrorists on the ceiling. Of course, when he got to know through the media what has happened on the opportunity. But had he seen the debris of the aircrafts and the crossfire, he would have definitely resolved never to return to this country because the perception of security in the Japanese is very high. So now, but a sad thing happened. After a few months, he called me and he said, there's a special meeting, you will have to come. Although he did not tell me what the agenda was, I knew what was in the offing. During that time, after this incident, the insurance underwriters like the Lloyds came up with a huge levy for the ships that were entering Colombo port and the aircrafts entering our airspace. So once you have to pay that levy, no international business was feasible. So the Japanese, the gentlemen they are, they will not stop business with you by not answering the phone, not answering your emails, or they will not do it that way. They will, invite you, have a dialogue with you, and then they will tell you, we have been having this business for such a long time, but for these reasons, we cannot continue with this business. If we elect to stop this business at this juncture, what are the liabilities that may incur upon you, and how can we be of help to, you know, settle those liabilities? I knew this was the agenda. I was a very sad man, because everything that I have built over the years is going to crumble down overnight. This is life. In life, sometimes this happens. Everything that you build can crumble down overnight. I think then the true personality in you, the real definition of you, comes out. I traveled to Japan with a very heavy heart, knowing that I will have to begin my life all over again. And since I became a frequent visitor to Japan, by that time I had purchased a house in Nagoya, where I put up myself even now. Around 9 o'clock in the night. And I saw on screen the World Trade Center in USA being attacked by Al Qaeda. I'm not happy at all for the lives lost in this incident. But after a while, after a few minutes, I realized that my problem has been resolved. I went to the meeting next morning. You might wonder, this happened in the morning, of course, because the time difference, it was 9 o'clock in the night in Japan. I went to the meeting next morning, and the board members were having the Japanese newspapers, Asahi, Yomiuri, and all the cover pages were giving the photographs of the aircraft hitting the buildings and the buildings collapsing, and so on. And usually the Japanese, they start the meeting right on the dot, and they move the agenda very fast. But they did not start this meeting. As much as I thought, because of that incident in the USA, the agenda has become obsolete. So they did not start the meeting, and Mr. Ito, in a lighter way, he looked at me and said, let's see if our friend from Sri Lanka has something to say. And in that boardroom, there was a huge world map in the background. And in that world map, Sri Lanka was marked red 24 hours prior to that incident. And Sri Lanka was the only country that was marked red, and a travel advisory gone to all the countries saying, this is a dangerous zone, never to travel to this country. And later I learned that this happens when a government fails to protect their own airport and goods. So I told them, 24 hours ago, it was only my country, Sri Lanka, that was marked red on this world map. After this incident, please tell me, incident in the USA, please tell me the country which I should not mark in red in this world map. And my message was understood. I did not lose my order. I came back to Sri Lanka with a lighter heart. After a few months, I received a call from Mr. Ito saying that after so much persuasion over the years, that he had decided to come and invest in Sri Lanka. When he said that, I couldn't be happier. And when the news broke in the media that an $8 million US investment is going to come to Sri Lanka, all the bankers were after me. They were telling me to bring half, don't bring the full amount. The bank can, project finance the half of it. When I converted that to Mr. Ito, he told me, your country is welcoming me because of the money that I bring in. So why should I bring half of it? I will bring the full amount. And in fact, he brought the full amount, US $8 million. And today, we do not have any commitments to local or foreign banks. And that is the background story of Lanka Harness, which is located at Biagama Treated Zone. The reason for me to share this story with you, of course, because the theme is Aspire. So finally, in conclusion, I have to say that when you have a great idea, if you believe in it, if you have the personality to believe in it, do not seek too many opinions. Because most people will advise you based on their experience. So if you are thinking of something new, they may not have the experience of that. Because you are thinking something new. So when you have a great idea, most great ideas are fresh ideas. then don't seek too many opinions. It is being said that if you want to lose the essence of a great idea, they say put it to a committee. And remember, you personally don't achieve things because there is external pressure, but it is the internal pressure that you exert on yourself that brings the best in you. So this metaphor is an egg. When an egg is pressurized from the outside and it breaks, life ends. But when an egg is pressurized from the inside and it breaks, life begins. All good things happen from within the individual. And when you look at my life, I had to do my advanced level twice. And I had to, when I went to do the law entrance exam, they said, no, you cannot do law. And also one more thing that I forgot to mention. When I went to Calgary University, they said, I wanted to major in English. They said, no, you cannot major in English because you have not offered English as a subject for your advanced level. Then one fine day, I met one professor, DCRA Gurutilaka, at the university canteen, and he was talking to me casually. He said that every year we expect around 25 students to my department, but I get only about 12. So I told him, in that case, why not accommodate a few students who are keen to major in English? And he said, I will take up the matter with the University Senate. And then the University Senate came with a suggestion that I have to, it was a must that I take English as a subject for my GATU and get something over a B+. And that way I managed to play my part to do what I wanted to do. So every time there was no in my life, I never took that no for an answer. So I had to do my advanced level twice. And when I want to do the law entrance exam, they first declined, but I persisted and ended up being a lawyer. When I wanted to major in English, once again they said no, but I persisted, ended up majoring in English. And these samples, I had to kept on sending for years and years and years. First they said, you don't have to even think about it. But today, both Toyota and Honda and all big companies, it is not only Toyota that is using the product today. In Japan, all the big brands, Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi, you name it, all this. In Europe, Volvo, Saab, BMW, Aston Martin, Volkswagen, Opel, all the brands. And in USA, General Motors, Chrysler, Ford, all are using this component. So I have, my life has been a roller coaster. There are ups and downs all the way. Let me tell you, if there are ups and downs in your life, that means that's a very good indicator to show you that you are well progressing in life. And there is no straight line to success. If you are on a straight line, be careful. You might be heading to collect, there's no straight line. This metaphor is an ECG. Ups and downs indicates that you are very much alive. A straight line indicates that you are not alive. Thank you very much, those masters who give this.
I would like to kindly request you to remain seated on stage for our next session. Albert Einstein said, learn from yesterday,